All right, welcome back to Welcome back to Missin the Homies, everybody. This is the podcast where I bullshit with my homies. Getting into it real quick because it's such a beautiful day. We just got back from inside. Wait a second on the crack. Welcome back to the pod.
Hi, all.
We're gonna get it cracked. Not as refreshing as I wanted.
I like it.
It's a little hoppy.
Mm-hmm.
Still more refreshing than Victory Gin. Cheers. All right.
Jamie, do you have anything you want to say before we get started?
Here.
Sniff, 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 sniff. That's what she said.
I hope she doesn't hang out like last time. Anyways, we're talking part 2 of 1984. I
got shit booked, Mark. I'm ready when you are.
I was going to say arguably, but inarguably the more exciting part.
Oh, then part 1?
Yeah, part 1.
Hell yeah. Part 1 is set up.
Part 1 was like, oh my God, we get it, Winston. Your life sucks.
Part 1 is like, okay, dystopia.
Yeah.
We're living in a dystopia. Move on.
Okay, so we'll do, I guess, a quick recap of part 2. He's hanging out with Julia in their apartment.
They're banging.
More often. And the belfry, but they only did the belfry that one time.
Yeah.
And then we get the book.
Mm-hmm.
We get Goldstein's book.
Yes.
What happens before that? They're pretty much just banging and hanging,
They're just
right?
banging and hanging.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, you get the book from O'Brien. And then it ends...
Well, stuff happens more before. Well, oh yeah, I guess a big part of chapter 2 or part 2. Gosh, the parts and the sections fucks me up.
I don't know why, but I respect that it does for you. I'm sorry that that's happening. Honestly, I feel like I didn't tab anything really much until we got to
part 2.
More of the books. Yeah, I didn't tab anything in part 1 because I wasn't
all right.
really thinking about it.
We're not talking part 1.
Exactly, so it doesn't matter.
Oh, look at Jamie.
I feel like the main thing.
She's our little audience.
Aw. Oh my gosh, and so is Sweaty. Oh my gosh, and Panties is coming.
Wait, where's Sweaty?
Right there. He's looking at me.
Oh my God. This podcast is dedicated to all the cats. All of our cats.
All the cats of the world.
All the cats of the world watching along.
Yeah, I feel like, well, you've read it more
recently
than me, but my takeaways were just like, okay, they're banging and they're
banging and hanging.
They're banging and hanging and they're doing, that's illegal. They're doing illegal things.
And they're like giving their ideologies or their take on the world.
Right. And I think that Winston and Julia have different ideologies, and then we're introducing the ideologies of the book, and then the whole thought police happens at the very end of part 2. Yeah,
well, I was gonna say a big chunk of it is Goldstein's book, which I'm interested in to see
what I tabbed or
what you tabbed and how they did it, because they did it differently in here.
Yeah, so how they did it here,
and then he gets bagged,
is him reading it out loud to Julia.
Yes.
In bed, but you just read it.
Yeah. Okay, so that's how they did it in here. But
what is it, like pictures of the pages?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So they completely switched up the format.
Yeah, I would like to see it.
Yeah. I thought this was cool because this is definitely why I like this. I prefer this medium over that, because it felt like, it was the same thing. The setup was Winston reading to Julia, but it goes to the whole part where he gets the book.
Yes.
And then it shows where he's like sitting down to open it up, and then, God, where is it? 7.
I want to know what the actual Goldstein pages look like, though.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Oh, it's like written word.
Wait, did I not finish? No, I did. I got to part 3. Yeah, so there we go.
Okay, so that's what the book looks like.
Yeah, so it's like they show the actual book.
Right.
And I thought it was going to be like this. I thought it was going to be in the panel,
but
because that's how it starts it off. And then the whole format changes. And it's this for like 10 or so pages.
Interesting. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so I thought that was cool, and it made it. I mean, I feel like it was more immersive. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. I was like, where's my... No, because I think I didn't even start chapter or part 3 yet.
I haven't started part 3 yet either.
Interesting.
You told me not to.
Yeah. No. I don't know why I said interesting.
Yeah. I'm
okay,
like, we agreed on that.
So what did you tag first? Also, were you surprised at all that they got bagged?
No, but I've also read this before.
You could pretend.
Sorry. Okay, the first thing I tagged was... let's see.
Damn, this feels like a real book club.
Okay, so the first thing I tabbed was I think most of what I tabbed was actually in Goldstein's book.
Oh, okay.
And it's the War is Peace chapter. I tagged to return to the agricultural past, as some thinkers about the beginning of the 20th century dreamed of doing, was not a practical solution. It conflicted with the tendency toward mechanization, which has become quasi-instinctive throughout almost the whole world. And moreover, any country which remained industrial backward was as helpless in a military sense and was bound to be dominated, directly or indirectly, by its more advanced rivals.
Damn. Yeah.
And I think, so like, you know, I don't think the current system of societal organization that we're in is working. Yeah. We see that with the amount of like, there's crazy starvation happening right now. It's not sustainable for the climate. You know, like I could go on. But this is something that I hear people say to me. Like, we could just return to the way that like the indigenous peoples lived. I think that's not true because of this tendency towards mechanization.
I was going to say, I
don't think that's a viable solution for where we're at. Maybe if we had never had the Industrial Revolution, maybe that would be true. But I think, you know, 3.5 centuries after the Industrial Revolution, I don't think that's a viable option.
Yeah, it's like we're too far gone.
We're too far gone.
Too far gone.
And something needs to change.
You can't put it back in the box.
You can't put it back in the box.
Shout out to Pandora.
We have industry, and I think we could make it climate friendly, but I think to like wipe technology and just live an agricultural life, I just don't think is an option with humanity anymore.
It's interesting that you say that, because one of the first things that I tagged a lot before this, but I tagged it mostly for the art. Like if I thought a page was really creepy, like look at how detailed Winston's eyes are.
His eyeballs look scary.
They're just like, but one of the first things that I underlined or noted was, I think it's around where you said, talking about science and technology were developing at a prodigious speed, and it seemed natural to assume that they would go on developing. This failed to happen partly because of the impoverished caused by a long series of wars and revolutions, partly because scientific and technological progress depended on the empirical oh my gosh, yeah, empirical habit of thought, which could not survive in a strictly regimented society. And I keep thinking about how crazy this is, to like how insane the brainwashing has to be to get to this level.
Yeah.
And then you talk to some people and you're just like, oh my God.
People are brainwashed.
Yeah. Like
there's a lot of people who like really buy in to
any kind of
ideology. Yeah. And it's like the people in power are obviously like neoliberals. That's like who's in power worldwide right now. Mm-hmm. And so most people are indoctrinated with neoliberalism.
Yeah, it's just like this. It feels like this. I was talking about this at a comic book meetup last night, that this, I think so the first part was a tough read.
Right.
Because I feel like it was just
it's just set up.
It was set up, but it was like also not written really in a very active voice. And I feel like this part 2 has been hard to read because it feels too real.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah.
Yeah.
It was definitely more exciting.
Mm-hmm.
But so
I noticed this, which actually I think I might have meant to. I think this was supposed to be the beginning of my tag, but the sentence before, just with little tabs.
I fully underlined. In this
I didn't
book.
have a pen with me, but I did have these little guys. I think the sentence I wanted to start with was, in the long run, a hierarchical society was only possible on the basis of poverty and ignorance.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And let's think about the U.S. right now. Highest wealth gap.
Poverty and ignorance.
Like, we have a bigger wealth gap in the U.S. right now than they did pre-French Revolution. Like, the wealth gap in the U.S. is insane right now. We have so many people below the poverty line. And particularly the Republicans, but budget cuts all across to keep up with our inflating military costs. They are wiping education. Project 2025, crazy for education. They want it on this Agenda 47 thing, which only has 46 points because these dumbasses can't fucking count. One of the points is like any sex education teaching would be like essentially pornography and people would be considered predators. So I've taught sex ed to minors. I've taught sex ed in high school. I could have gotten convicted if that was law of the land at the time.
Jesus.
So that's like that level of ignorance, and then that while they're rolling back reproductive rights at the same time.
Yeah, like I mean
that's keeping people poor because if they have if you can't get an abortion, you've got another mouth you got to feed, and they're trying to outlaw any information that you can even get about your own reproductive health, whether it's about abortion or contraceptives and the things they don't like. But you should know, like,
you should know
your
what is
own
up
reproductive
with,
biology.
You should know what's up with your body if you want to find out. Yeah, what's
exactly.
Up with your body.
Isn't that nuts?
That's insane. Oh my God! Every time I see like a Project 2025, like it ruins my day.
It's upsetting.
It's
disturbing.
Yeah.
It's disturbing. Yeah.
It feels like, I mean, that's, oh my gosh. Yeah. Like crime stop in short means protective stupidity. Mm-hmm. That shit was fucking me up with the crime stop, the double think. Oh my God.
I will say critique though, with this being quote unquote Goldstein's book, I just feel like if you're propping up some singular person as the leader of a movement, this is like that brotherhood movement or whatever, you're still going to end up with a hierarchical society.
Yes. It's just it's a counter revolution.
It's a counter revolution. And, counter revolutions have won things that have made global life better for most people. Like, I'm not saying that there's no place for that.
Yeah.
But to be like critiquing a hierarchical society and putting one singular person's name on it.
Making it Goldstein's book.
Exactly. Yeah. That reproduces the hierarchy.
Yeah.
Like, I think what he's arguing for, like, you fundamentally can't have individualism in the kind of society that Goldstein is arguing for, but he's being extremely individualistic by being like this party leader and like writing his own book, and it's all about Goldstein. That's never going to win you a collective society.
And spoiler, there's no Goldstein, right?
Honestly, I don't know. That actually I don't really
oh my God.
Remember?
Stay tuned. Also, the whole brotherhood thing. Okay, so this is what I brought. So reading this week, reading part 2 was, I mean, the whole brotherhood and really talking about like how the part where they switched from Eurasia to
East
Asia, like just switching that on the dime really made me think of the Ultimate Universe that I'm reading. This is like, I'm bringing it all to book club. So this Ultimate Universe that I'm reading by John Hickman, they like you find out that the world is run by a secret council, and that there's just constant wars going on. Like one nation is like the bad guy, and then you find out at this council that everybody's in on it, and somebody like a different person just takes the bad guy title, a good guy title, and it's like
it's all fake.
Yeah, it's all fake.
So if I'm bringing in my other book club,
and
bringing it all to book club.
So reading this, I was like, oh my gosh.
That book behind you, not the very top one, but the second one.
Yep.
Is what I'm reading, that whole stack, which is too many books to be reading at once. Yeah, but that's what I'm doing right now. So this is about the Palestine Revolution in the 30s.
I still have to read my.
This is before Israel existed, even. But so I've been thinking about like the history of the imperial core propping up Israel, getting Palestine, all those things. And like, think about how hard people started writing for Ukraine. All the Ukrainian flags up, like when Russia started bombing them and stuff. And like, Russia shouldn't have done that. That's fucked up. And I think us being like, the U.S. like wanting to support Ukraine in that way is like valid. I mean, I'm like anti-war, so I like don't love that in general, but I like Russia is absolutely in the wrong. But this big imperial power picking on the little guy, and everybody in the U.S. is like, yeah, let's fight for the little guy.
Yeah.
Not happening with Palestine. Israel's the big one with the military.
Yeah.
Palestine isn't even a state, doesn't even have a military. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so like this, they're the bad guys, these are the good guys, those are the bad guys. It all comes back to imperial connections because the U.S. and Israel got their own deals going on with oil.
Yeah.
The U.S. and Russia are fighting for oil. So then they're, we can fight Russia through Ukraine by arming Ukraine. It's a proxy war.
Yeah.
It's a fucking proxy war for oil.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's so fucking fucking geopolitics.
Yes.
Fucking hell.
Yes, and that's what I was thinking about with this.
That's why they cut it down to 3.
Yeah, they were like, we can't. Well, and honestly, that's kind of.
It's easier to understand, and I mean, this is. Oh my God, it feels weird.
The U.S. and UK in the way that the Oceania is.
Yeah.
U.S. and UK are absolutely tied imperially. Supporting each other's militaries all the time. It makes sense that he broke out Eurasia with the context of the 40s, like, post-World War, with the fascism that they were fighting in World War II.
I mean, yeah, okay,
But really, at this point, it's more like China and Russia. It's like China, Russia, and the U.S. are the big 3.
Yeah.
The U.S. is in bed with Australia, UK. Chinese are in bed with Iran. Like everybody, but it's the big 3.
Yeah.
And Russia and China like each other sometimes they don't.
It's just like I'm trying to.
China's trying to colonize Africa right now. Like.
Whoa. I'm trying to see how many they shrink it down to in this. Oh, okay. Let's see. There's 1, 2, but that's how they do it in here too, where they like just sort of chunk up the world and by sections. And I think that's what they did in this, but it's like 3 sections.
Yeah, but I mean, it's very. My hair's doing crazy things.
It's too spot on.
It's really spot on.
It's been a tough read. But
I didn't have that context when we did the first episode of the pod, and I was like, I'm excited to read this knowing so much more about like geopolitics than I did when I was like 16 and read this. Like, that's the kind of thing I was excited for, because I like do know a lot more about like
the history.
And just like the different wars over resources, primarily oil because of the Industrial Revolution. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I have such a better like historical lens now, and like more tapped in with what's going on, like geopolitically,
Yeah.
instead of just being like part of the neoliberalism indoctrination that I was in at 16. So I thought this was
Is 1984 banned?
I don't know. That's a good question.
We'll look that up. Do you have anything else tabbed?
I do. Should I go for them?
I mean,
this one is also
because I wanted to ask you how the chapter, literally, like, what was the last sentence of part 2 for you?
Okay, so can I read you my tabs and then I can read you my?
Yeah.
Okay,
that's why I was asking if you had any.
Okay,
tabbed.
Yeah. So my.
'Cause I don't want to skip over it.
Okay, even the official ally of the moment is always regarded with the darkest suspicion. Yes. War prisoners apart, the average citizen of Oceania never sets eyes on a citizen of either Eurasia or East Asia, and he is forbidden the knowledge of foreign languages. If he were allowed contact with foreigners, he would discover that they are the creatures similar to himself, and most of what he has been told about them is lies. Xenophobia, right there.
Yeah.
Xenophobia props up the imperial cores.
Oh my gosh, yeah, keeping people scared of other people.
Yep. Okay, so that was one that I tabbed.
This failed to happen probably because of the oh no, that's the one I tagged something else. The 2 aims of the party are to conquer the whole surface of the earth and to extinguish once and for all the possibility of independent thought. What made this made me think of Assassin's Creed.
Oh, is that why you pulled that stack out?
Yes.
Oh, you were prepping. I thought that was just like...
You thought I was just leaving my shit out?
Honestly, with us doing like a lot of rearranging this past week, we've done, for the audience, we've done a lot of spring cleaning, even though it is the middle of July. Spring was tough for us emotionally, and I think
and you get to it when you get to it.
You get to it when you get to it. Better late than never. But we've done a lot of rearranging this week. So honestly, I thought that was like
this was a conscious stack.
Okay, those are a conscious
of my
stack.
Shit on the table.
Okay.
So,
well, sometimes more often than not.
Yes.
Hey, I'm not hating. I got a stack of shit right there. I've got a stack of shit on my desk.
We got a stack of shit everywhere.
Yeah, whatever.
But the 2 aims of the I think it's interesting because actually this part that I underlined really just takes the 2 sides of the Assassin's Creed universe, which are the Assassins and the Templars.
Can you reread it? The 2 objectives were conquering the world and thought?
The 2 aims of the party are to conquer the whole surface of the earth and to extinguish once and for all the possibility of independent thought. That second part specifically, the possibility for independent thought, this is actually the like old Assassin's Creed lore because I fell off. Which one did I fall? I fell off before Syndicate. At Unity. Unity was where I fell off. That was like the 7th game. Not important. But there's a very crazy, like, it's the sci-fi. I don't know how much you've retained with how much I've
retained Ezio.
So Ezio is...
If you can give me a timeline with Ezio as the... If you can talk about Assassin's Creed with Ezio as the anchor, that's when I'll get it.
Yeah, it's like so not important. This is just like... Ezio is just like the main guy that you play as. But he is like such a small
But I thought he was your favorite guy.
Yeah, but that's not... he's just...
Okay, get to the point.
That's what I'm saying. So
no, that's me. That was me getting us sidetracked.
But so the second game is Brotherhood.
Okay.
And so you're building up this revolution in Renaissance Italy. And so this is on such a smaller scale compared to... But it's like... Yeah, no. It's like such a smaller scale. Because... So the Templars, that's their whole thing is like... controlling all of the possibility for independent thought. And so I just thought, so reading this has really just like, I've been thinking a lot about Assassin's Creed.
As you do.
As I do.
You love that shit.
I fucking love it. But so I just thought, and also that's just like, how much, like, the brainwashing is just so...
Well, when you have total control, you can.
But like
you can indoctrinate at very young ages. You can keep up the propaganda. You can, you know, when you have full control like that, you really can do those things.
Yeah, I guess it's just like, oh gosh, yeah, it's just scary. It's like scary to read. But yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have anything else tagged in?
I have two more tabs.
Yeah.
I tabbed 4 things. Okay.
This is all in
part 2. This is, I don't know if this is in War and Peace. I think it might be. I don't know. I've been thinking about war a lot with our current context, but yeah. So this really stood out to me the most. I thought this was interesting. So I tagged, but the problems of perpetuating a hierarchical society go deeper than this. There are only 4 ways in which a ruling group can fall from power. Either it is conquered from without, or it governs so inefficiently that the masses are stirred to revolt, or it allows a strong and discontented middle group to come into being, or it loses its own self-defense and willingness to govern. These causes do not operate singly, and as a rule, all 4 of them are present to some degree. A ruling class which could guard against all of them would remain in power perpetually. Ultimately, the determining factor is the mental attitude of the ruling class itself.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah.
I thought that was really interesting. I don't know that I fully agree, but I thought that it was really interesting. I actually think the determining factor is the mental attitude of the low group and the middle group, and if they really see differences between the two.
Yeah.
Like if middle group people see themselves in
the high group,
in the low group.
Oh.
No.
Oh, I was going to say if they see themselves in the high group, they're going to want to keep the status quo.
Yes.
But if they see themselves in the low group, then they're going to want to I get what you're saying.
So it's like, it does say like or it allows a discontented middle group. A discontented middle group starts to see themselves with the lows.
Yeah.
So I agree with you,
yeah.
but I don't know.
We were saying the same thing, but
we just did different directions.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought that was really interesting. And I agree with the 4 ways, but I do think that the low kind of has to, for a discontented middle group to come to stir up a revolt or whatever, like they got to have the lows with them. It's got to be all people that are not in the ruling class.
Well, I think that just kind of like assumes that the low, I mean, they even said it, I didn't tab it, but they're like, the low is just constantly in a state of like survival.
Right. And that's purposeful.
Yeah. So they can't even think about.
You're so focused on where your like fucking next meal is coming from. You don't have time to be thinking about geopolitics.
You can't think about geopolitics.
Yeah. It's a privileged thing to be
an
organizer
awareness.
A lot of times. Yeah. And like, I think that's really true. So I think that I agree with the 4 different ways for the most part, but I think ultimately the determining factor is the mental attitude of the ruling class itself. I don't think I agree with that because the ruling class is like 2%. No. You know what I'm saying?
No, I think it has more to do with the masses because
exactly.
even here, like it's funny that I left this open, but it was, he did not see that the content, like, whereas adoptive organizations such as the Catholic Church have sometimes lasted for hundreds or thousands of years, the essence of oligarchical rule is not father to son inheritance, but the persistence of a certain worldview and a certain way of life. And I think the Catholic Church, something like that, is something that has lasted for so long because it gives people some sort of comfort. Whereas if it's boots on necks, people are going to get sick of that after so long. But if it's like,
you need that buy-in from the masses.
Yeah.
And that's why the indoctrination that we were talking about is so important and why religion has such a place because religion gives comfort.
That's why they make to keep this. So I'm trying so hard to keep this in the book because it feels too. I know. No, I know. I know you don't. But like that's why they make Big Brother.
Do you want me to?
No. I'm like that's whatever. because I could not match you in geopolitical conversation.
I'm not asking you to.
I know.
I think
I'm trying to have the conversation, and we're both.
And
reading
you have the book as your resource. I got
so
you.
the book as the resource. I think that's why they make Big Brother like. This Ingsoc. It's almost. It is almost a religion, in the sense that like this guy is always watching.
Yeah.
He's bad Santa.
He's bad Santa.
He's
well,
bad Santa.
Think about the Republican Party. They are leaning on like evangelical shit so hard, and it's working. People are like saying Trump is like protected by God, and that's why the assassination attempt like wasn't.
Which is so bad, like to use religion as a weapon.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's disgusting. It really is. Like what should be. I'm a spiritual person.
Yeah.
I love my spiritual practices. Like, I just have a problem with the organization where one person has power, whether it's Big Brother or the Pope. I mean, actually, I think this Pope is like relatively good for popes, but like if we think of the popes like back in like the 14th century and shit, where they're like pocketing gold and stuff, that's a bad person.
Yeah.
That is a bad person. And the Catholic Church has said that there's
my gosh,
infallacy of the Pope, that the Pope can't be wrong. That's insane. One person should not have that power over 2 billion people.
In Brotherhood, you assassinate the Pope.
Oh my God. Your parents let you play that?
No. Absolutely not. They were like, well, I think by the time they were like, they didn't even know what it was about. I kept saying that it was a history game. And I mean, it is.
LOL. Oh my God.
But,
wait.
God,
okay, so I tabbed one more thing, and this was not the sentence that I tabbed, but I just looked down and saw it.
Yeah. Spoiler.
Yeah.
Do you know if Julia sold him out?
No. Okay. I don't know that.
Okay.
I feel like even if I read a book in the past like 6 months, I don't remember a lot of the plot.
This honestly is like reading a brand new book.
Yeah,
I don't remember any of this.
I remember the vibes. But okay, this says the infallibility of the party. So similar thing, like in the way that you know, here they're saying that the party is infallible. Like that's how the Pope operates.
Yeah.
That it's like they are infallible, and nobody is above being infallible.
Nobody's infallible.
We're human. We're wrong.
Yeah.
We're wrong a lot of times. I've been wrong about a ton of shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like there is just even like I think that there's wisdom in collective thought, because then people can like push back on each other and be like, oh, I actually don't know about that.
You also, that's how you see something from a different point of view.
Yeah, but even I don't even think collective thought is infallible.
No.
Like the human experience is
infallible at its core.
Yeah. But what I tabbed was
fallible at its core.
It's fallible at its core, yeah. The alteration of the past, so this is kind of pre-leading to the sentence that I just said. The alteration of the past is necessary for 2 reasons, one of which is subsidiary and, so to speak, precautionary. The subsidiary reason is that the party, like the proletarian, tolerates present-day conditions partly because he has no standards of comparison. So that's kind of like the xenophobic thing, too. Like, if you don't know that other people are doing better than you, you accept shitty conditions.
Yeah.
So he must be cut off from the past, just as he must be cut off from foreign countries, because it is necessary for him to believe that he is better off than his ancestors, and that of the average level of material comfort is constantly rising.
Yeah.
Which it's not.
No.
We are the first generation that's poorer than our parents.
That's crazy.
And I think that's why, like,
but yeah, I mean, we so are.
We no, that's like statistically true.
No,
like
I know,
like
but
census
I'm just saying,
data.
like,
and we are.
We are.
We are poorer than
I'm
our
just
parents.
saying that, like, we are.
I am poorer than both of my parents.
I am poorer than
despite being
one of my parents.
Like more educated. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know that I'll ever like hit the salary that my dad makes, and I have 2 more degrees than him.
Yeah.
You know, and not that degrees are everything. Like, there's problems with the higher education
but everything
system too.
It costs so damn much now.
It costs so damn much, and wages are like fucking stagnant.
The adults watching this are fucking loving this.
Yeah.
They're like,
and then it says, but by far the more important reason for the readjustment of the past is the need to safeguard the infallibility of the party. It is not merely that speeches, statistics, and records of every kind must be constantly brought up to date in order to show the predictions of the party were in all cases right. It is also that no change of doctrine or in political alignment can ever be admitted. So, like, to that point of the statistics, like...
Wait, read that last part again. Just the last sentence.
It is also that no change of doctrine or in political alignment can ever be admitted.
Yeah. Okay, so to bring this back to Assassin's Creed.
Yes.
The way they do that.
Is this an Assassin's Creed book club?
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Anybody watching, if you want to talk about Assassin's Creed for a month,
hit my line.
We'll play the Ezio collection from start to finish. But the way they do that in this is with like these pieces of Eden, and they like essentially just mind control people. But I mean, that is what they're doing by rewriting history.
Exactly.
And oh my God, and that's what Abstergo's doing.
They're rewriting history, and like the fact that I can even say, like, statistically, people our age, like
that we
old
have
Gen
that
Z,
reference,
like, because we're kind of on the cusp, but like Gen Z and millennials are typically worse off than their Gen X and Boomer parents. That is like statistics. If you can rewrite statistics, how would I know that?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then it's just me and you being like, oh, yeah, I'm a little worse off than my parents. Oh, yeah, I'm a little worse off than my parents. Maybe that's just us, you know? But I can, like, statistically say, no, this is a trend for people my age.
You can point to more information.
Yeah, and I'm thankful that we have access to that. And I'm like, that's why I think research is important, even though, like, sometimes I get frustrated with my job that, like, we can't move as fast as we need to. But I do think having that knowledge-based research creates knowledge, and I think that's important.
And you said earlier that, like, you feel like the Industrial Revolution is what really kicked us off. And I mean, yes.
That was the change from feudalism to capitalism.
But I don't even think it's that.
Oh, what do you think it is?
Writing stuff down. Like, that is, like, where you could have the reference. Like, that's where, like, the references almost start to where you could be like, this happened, but this is not, like...
So you think it's, like, the historic period? Like having just a record.
I think that's what, the Industrial Revolution was like took us from like here to here. But I think, and then I mean where we're at now with technology has taken us from here to here.
Yeah.
But I think like writing shit down took like fucking cavemen from here to here.
Yeah, that's true.
And I mean, here to here doesn't seem like that far now because like we can write shit down.
It's so obvious now.
If you took that away, like,
yeah,
I think we were talking the other day about the fucking printing press.
Yeah, we
like,
were.
That even
not to be a Disney adult, but that's why I love the Epcot ball ride.
Oh, because they talk about the printing press?
Well, because they go... they thank the Phoenicians for the alphabet. They go from
the... Shout out the Phoenicians.
Because that really is what allowed us to truly write.
Yeah.
But I think...
Well, they gave us our alphabet.
Right. I think what bums me out about the one thing that I think the Epcot ride is missing is fire.
Oh, my gosh. That's...
That evolution... There's an evolution book right above your head somewhere. It's called Catching Fire.
Catching Fire. Oh, it's not the second.
It's not the second Hunger Game. It's my second favorite book titled Catching Fire.
I don't know where it's at.
It's above the. It's on the very top shelf.
Oh, no, it's not. Those
are the evolution books.
Well, this is Lessons of History. This is Sapiens, and this is Atlas Obscura.
No. That's under the plant.
Are
they facing that way?
Oh yeah, I can't see it. I can't see that.
But there's a book in that stack.
God, I love living in a library.
I wish we had, honestly, you know what I would love is if we did built-in bookshelves on this wall.
I was going to say.
Wouldn't that be so sick?
All
around the fireplace?
Yeah. Oh, fuck. That would be so sick.
Wouldn't that be so sick?
Yeah. I was thinking that we need like a candelabra. Like we need like a big chandelier with a bunch of drippy wax.
Yeah.
That would perfectly set the vibe in here.
If we had like...
Oh my God.
If we had
Could you imagine if we went and like...
If we had funds to do the built-ins though, Like just imagine that, this whole wall being books.
Oh,
wouldn't that be so cool?
That would be really cool.
With the light coming through too. Oh, that's my dream.
Yeah, we'd need light. Anyways,
besides the point.
Yeah.
That book, Catching Fire, is all about how
fire really
humans like really changed their whole society because they could cook.
Yeah.
Cooking changed human society. Before, like, you couldn't do that, and it introduced this whole different aspect of living together too, because also people would cook together and like the different societies that created.
I mean, so fire wasn't just for cooking; it was for warmth. It was for safety.
Yep.
Like they could see in the dark.
Smoke signals. You could communicate to people from a
I want to read *Sapiens* again. I gotta text Tony Miguel and see if he's done with them.
We should. I was hoping that we would finish 1984 quick enough to do *Sapiens* as a. We could do 2 book clubs this month, but I think that's not. At this point, we're on the 20th, so I don't think that's realistic.
We could do this again.
If you'll have me. I'm not going to take over your pod.
Yeah. But you always do 1 month a year after I take my month off for my mental health, because that's what it's been the past 3 years.
Yeah. I'm an easy guest to get back into because we just talk all day.
No, you're
and his schedule.
I was gonna say you're an easy guest to get because I know your schedule to the hour,
to the minute.
You
know when I'm pooping.
Don't say that in front of Jamie.
Jamie sits in the bathroom with me when I poop.
Yeah. Oh, and Sweaty's.
And we still have our live audience for anybody who's wondering. But Pants gave up on us. She's sitting in her little perch over there. She doesn't care.
So
those were all the things I had tabbed.
Oh, cool. I was gonna say I think the new mark of the end of the pod is when the bev is done.
My bev is almost done.
I have like one more sip.
Yeah.
So do you have final sip thoughts?
I'm really excited for part 3.
Nay, that's what we're going to do. That's how we're going to finish the last couple episodes. Your last sip, we'll cheers it, and that's how we end the pod. That's brilliant. Cut that. We're going to do that moving forward.
Sick.
Final
sip thoughts. I'm not really... Okay.
It could be about anything because you have not been talking about the book at all. Not at all. I take that back. You are bringing real world ties to this, which I appreciate, and I think that's what book club is about.
I think that's what books are for. Yeah. You know what? I think that's what my final thought is. I think
plug books.
I think books are to understand the world that you live in in a perspective that is different from yours. And I think that's why they've done I'm a research whore. I love the data. They have done studies that people who read more are more empathetic. And I think it's because you have
different points of view.
You have different points of view, and then you can empathize with those points of view. You can step in people's shoes. So I'm stepping into Winston's shoes. In Oceania, who's fighting East Asia or Eurasia or whichever one it is. And I'm seeing myself.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing myself, and I'm seeing how I'm, feeling about the wars that are going on between the little guys here and the proxy wars that the U.S. is participating in.
The big brothers of our lives.
The surveillance. The big brothers
of our time.
That's happening right now with all of these police cameras going up, just the level of surveillance. I mean, even at Target, them showing you the little videos of yourself. Or the fucking
police spires in the parking lot.
I hate those guys. They're creepy.
Yeah.
So I am empathizing with Winston, and we live very different lives. So there are definitely this is totalitarian. We are not at that level in this. You're
halfway at his fit. If you threw a denim shirt on, you're there.
Hey, rude. So I think that's the point of books. And I know I mostly use the book to talk about stuff that's going on now, but that's why I read.
But I think that's, you know what? I'll cheers to that.
That's why I read.
I'll cheers to that because I think.
I want your final thoughts now. I still have a sip left.
Okay, I got a baby sip left. But I love that. And I think that I've always loved books, but I've had a hard time with books.
Yeah.
And now I know it's...
You have a better medium now.
It's because of my ADHD, and I think I just love all the different kinds of mediums to soak in information from different points of view. Books, comics, graphic novels, video games, movies, radio show, podcasts.
Talking with your friends who consume other types of media.
What is a podcast if
Podcasts
not...
are for people who can't rap.
Yo, that hurt to hear.
I'm sorry.
That hurt to hear on that Childish Gambino album, because I was like...
You were like, shots fired at me.
Oh, fuck.
You fired some shots at Drake, and then he came for me.
I was like, don't look at me, Donald. Don't look at me. So yeah, fuck yeah, books.
Fuck yeah for books.
I'll cheers to that.
It's my empty can. Everybody should read a little more than they are.
Read
I know
a
it's hard.
banned book.
Read a banned book.
Read a banned book. That's the plug. The plug is to read a banned book.
Now we have to find out if 1984 is banned. I'm sure it's banned somewhere.
Yeah. If it's not, it's probably going to be banned soon.
Yeah, so true. And that's why digital media is not sufficient. Print your shit.
All right, the 2 plugs.
Okay, read
a banned book.
And get a hard copy of the shits that you care about, okay?
And that is what will end the pod.
And good night.
Good night. Read a banned book.